How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you an update on the car accident up there in Seattle, Washington that happened on the interstate involving Black Lives Matter protest. Now, before I get into all the updates and all the new information we have, let me back up a little bit here to give you some context, just in case you don't know or you need a quick refresher. Now, there was a viral video that has spread all over the internet. And if you want to see that full thing, I'll link to it in the box below. I cannot show it here. But in the video, you see a white Jaguar going interstate speeds that finds itself in the middle of a Black Lives Matter protest. Now, this is at 1:30 in the morning. It's dark and the so-called protest is not lit up. If you were to have any kind of interstate obstruction at this time of night, especially, it should be lit up like a Christmas tree. You're talking about those real big bright lights, some hazard lights. You should be able to see what's happening on the interstate long before you get there. But unfortunately, that was not the case. And the driver of the white Jaguar finds himself coming at full speed towards kind of a blockade of some cars in the middle of the road. He swerves to avoid the blockade, and then right behind the cars are the protesters. They scramble to get out the road, and unfortunately, he hits two people. Now, in my first video, they're both in a hospital. One was in critical condition that had life-threatening injuries, and the other one was severely injured but stable. Now, the person with critical injuries, unfortunately, has died. Her name was Summer Taylor. The other young lady is Diaz Love. She is okay. I suppose that she's pretty badly injured, but she did not pass away, fortunately. Now, the driver of the white Jaguar is a black male, first-generation immigrant from Eritrea. He has now been charged with vehicular homicide and reckless driving, I think one other charge. I'll link his charges in the box below so you can read everything for yourself and see what's going on in full. But he has been brought up on charges, and he's currently in jail on a $1.2 million bond. Now, I think this is really a miscarriage of justice because this was an accident, okay? The man's lawyer came out and said it. He's tearful, he's remorseful. This was an accident. He did not mean for this to happen. He had no intention of going on the interstate and colliding with the protesters on the road. The protesters shouldn't have been there on the road to begin with, okay? And if you're going to be on the road, on the interstate at 1:30 in the morning, you should have some kind of lights, high visibility vest, something that would alert somebody that you're right there on the road. Let's go back to the scene of the accident. Now, I think the New York Times has reported that the man's car was spotted going up the wrong way, up an exit ramp to get onto the interstate. Now, I'll put a picture right here on the screen before you. This is probably where he got on the interstate at, okay? And what he probably did was get on the ramp up the wrong way and then immediately take a sharp turn to go the right way. You see what I'm saying? Now, my question would be, did he do that in order to get on the interstate to attack the Black Lives Matter protesters? I don't think he did that, okay? I think he did that as kind of a quick way to get on the interstate. That's not necessarily uncommon to do things like that. I've not gotten on the interstate that way before, but where I live, I don't live in a big city where you have those kind of off ramps and on ramps. But I would presume he's not the only guy that's done that before. There's probably been more people that do that because you can kind of see who's coming and it's an easy way to get on. You might have to go further away to get on to the on ramp. I like to know why he went that direction. I don't think that it was because he wanted to get on the interstate and then attack these people. And the reason why him getting on that way is important is because they're trying to say that was done maliciously to attack these people, because if he were to go the proper direction, it would have been blocked off. But the question is, if the proper direction to get onto the interstate was blocked off, then who blocked it off? Was it the city of Seattle? Now, if it was the city of Seattle, then they didn't do a very good job. Not at all. There should have been some signs and some warnings that there was going to be a protest on the interstate in the middle of the night. You're talking about 1:40 to be exact AM. It's dark. You can't see. There was no lights on the interstate. There was no warning signs talking about, oh, there's a protest happening right now. don't go this way, yield to the protesters. There was nothing like that going on. So if the city of Seattle is responsible for putting up the blockade to prevent people from coming on the interstate at that time of night for the protests, then they honestly should be held liable for the death of the young lady, because it didn't do a very good job protecting them. To charge this man with vehicular homicide is just really ridiculous. But I will say this. Like I said, he's first generation immigrant from Eritrea. That's in Africa. So he's black. And the people that got hit were white. So if it were the other way around, it wouldn't even, you be talking about terrorism. He'd be Dylan Roof pretty much, because the narrative would be he got on the interstate the wrong way. He intentionally did it. There wouldn't be so much room for nuance or anything like that. But me, I would just call it how I see it. Okay. I can clearly tell that he had no intention of doing that to these people, because if you see the video, again, it's in the box below, he was just going at normal interstate speeds. And once he came across this barrier of the vehicles, he swerved. Like, he was going full speed towards the cars. If he didn't swerve, he would have crashed into the cars that were parked perpendicular on the road. That is not a good road blockade. And if you're going to have a blockade like that, you shouldn't be right up on it. You should have a little bit of a buffer just in case somebody's coming, you can escape. But I mean, that goes back to the whole thing. Why are you on the interstate in the middle of the night? Rest in peace, the young lady that died, and hopefully the other young lady that's in the hospital gets well soon. But this could have been totally avoided. Don't be on the interstate. Don't be on the street in the middle of the night. If Seattle is behind this, then shame on them. They should not have allowed this to happen. Their negligence, in my humble opinion, cost the young lady her life. If it was not Seattle that did this, then the so-called protesters are responsible. Even if Seattle was involved, then it wouldn't absolve the people that are out there protesting. Because you got to understand where you are. You have to have situational awareness. You're on the interstate. Somebody could come on the road. You have to be able to understand that there's no reason for you to be out there. Now, people are saying this was some kind of, this is a tragedy. It's brutal because they're protesting for Black Lives Matter. Well, what kind of protest for Black Lives Matter involves you being on the interstate at 1:30 in the morning where nobody's even around to even see you? You're out there dancing, doing the Cupid shuffle for what? As I close, I want to say this. It's sad that the young lady died, but like I said earlier, it's totally preventable. They shouldn't have been on an interstate, especially not at 1:40 a.m. with no lights, no high-vis vests, no warning, no nothing. The little makeshift barrier is not enough. You got to have signs. You got to have lights. If you're on an interstate just normally driving, right, and there's some construction going on, what are you going to see? You're going to see the big, crazy penitentiary jail light right up on your face, like right there, like a miniature sun on the interstate. You're going to see flashing lights. You're going to see those vehicles had a little, the caution bumpers on them. You're going to see all of that stuff. And it's going to be signs, like digital signs on the road that says, construction up ahead, construction next 3 miles. You're going to see that long before you get to the actual construction itself. And when they do the construction, they're not going to be just totally obstructing the road. They'll give you a lane to be able to get past. These people had the whole interstate from left, right, side to side. They didn't have any room for anybody to get past. What if there's an emergency that happens? You got to have a fire truck get there, an ambulance, police car. This was not very well thought out. So yes, I am criticizing them. I understand their loss and prayers out to the family, but I have to be honest. If anybody out there is wanting to do something like this in the future, they got to understand you can't just do whatever you want to do. Okay. Get something from the city, have proper safety. And if you are the city of Seattle and you let this happen, then shame on you. If I was a parent of one of these kids, would sue you if you were involved with it at all. I think the Seattle police, I forget what it might have been, a spokesperson may have alluded to that. So I keep an eye out for that. But at the end of the day, as I close, the young man that's involved with this, vehicular homicide, no, this was a tragic accident. What would the penalty be for getting on the interstate the wrong way? Okay, the way they were talking about it was like he went the wrong way on the interstate. But what probably happened was what I told you earlier. He got on from the exit ramp and did a sharp U-turn. He wasn't just going the wrong way. He was going the right way. He just got on the interstate the wrong way, allegedly. What is the penalty for that by itself? Okay, would that be a go to jail thing? Or would it be the equivalent of just, a driving infraction, like a speeding ticket or something like that, or parking improperly? What would be the actual penalty for that? Would it be vehicular homicide, reckless driving and stuff like that? I don't think so, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that vehicular homicide is the appropriate charge to levy against this young man for the accident that happened on the interstate? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or is it not the appropriate charge? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. You pretty much know where I stand. This man is being railroaded, quite literally, because this was an accident. Nothing more, nothing less. It wasn't anything political. He was working that night from a family business. He was not impaired, not drinking, not drugging. One thing they want to say is that he fled the scene. Well, after the accident happened, he did stop. But look at where you are. You in the Black Lives Matter protest. And now if you get attacked by people and stuff like that, you got to ensure your own safety. Okay, he did ask the trooper if the people that he hit were okay. This was not a malicious attack, period. Okay. And I say the same thing regardless of whether he's black, white, Puerto Rican, the cannon stripe. It's an unfortunate accident that happened that resulted in somebody passing away. Very unfortunate, very sad, but totally avoidable. Don't partake in protests on the road in the middle of the night with no lights, with no warning, no nothing. Okay. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.